Okay, tonight, guys, we're doing Sirach chapter 4. Duties toward the poor and the oppressed. Okay. Can you hear me, Boaz? My child, do not cheat the poor of their living, and do not keep needy eyes waiting. So this is talking about this would be like talking like you hire a poor guy. You guys have a business or a farm or somebody, and some poor guy comes to work for you. Don't cheat the poor of their living. Like, make sure you pay for them. You're all right. And do not keep needy eyes waiting. Like, I remember when I was so poor, there were times where I really needed stuff, and I was just too scared to ask my boss to pay me, like at the end of the week or whatever, or maybe he forgot and we didn't have any money and we just went without because I was so scared. This is that kind of idea. I mean, the poor people, like, there are really poor people who you might hire someday. Oh, it's your nose? Yeah, it's your nose. Go to the bathroom. Red alert. Got a bloody nose here. Watch out. Okay, we're going to keep going. Bring up a rag when you come. But anyways, these guys will look at you, and they'll be looking at you like, they'll be thinking about buying bread, beans, rice, something. Maybe they have a family and they're just real hungry. But what you have is the money that they're working for. That's why they're working for you. And so don't be like, oh, they didn't work so hard, I'm going to pay them a little less, and I told them I'd pay them because they were a little bit lazy. No, just don't cheat them at all. Give them what they deserve, and I think you should even give them a little more. And don't keep their needy eyes waiting. I mean, you should ask him, like, if you do have a laborer who's really needy, ask him, would it help if I paid you just tonight instead of like at the end of the week? And because maybe they need it. Maybe they don't have any food at all. Do not grieve the hungry or angry one in need. Just stay there until it's taken care of. And then if it's done, then you can go to bed. You need to go downstairs, tip your head back, stop the bleeding, and then when you're done, come up. Do not add to the troubles of the desperate or delay giving to the needy. Do not reject a suppliant in distress, or turn your face away from the poor. Do not avert your eyes from the needy, and give no one reason to curse you. For if in bitterness of soul some should curse you, their Creator will hear their prayers. Okay, so let me read this all together. Do not reject a suppliant in distress, or turn your face away from the poor, and do not avert your eyes from the needy, and give no reason to curse you. And give no one reason to curse you. Okay, so you're driving along, you're coming out of Walmart, and there is obviously a poor person, or at least they're really a good actor. And they look really hungry, and they actually look really cold, and they're skinny. And they're like, please help me. They have that paper sign. And you just avert your eyes. That's what avert means. You get it? Do you know what it means? Like what?
Don't pay attention.
Right. So they're looking right at you like, I am so hungry. I am so cold. I am dying. I'm on the street. Nobody will help me. I can't get a dime. And then you drive up, and as you're coming, you see something to the side, and you see him, and then you look down. Don't do that. You give to them. You give something to them. I mean, you have the ability to drive. You have enough money to put gas in your car. You're probably coming from a store. You probably have the ability to give them something. Even if they are lying to you, Hermas says that, remember this in Hermas? He says you might be thinking to yourself, is this person lying to me, or is this a fraud? And the angel says to Hermas, just give to those who ask, like the master said, and if they lie, then God will judge them. Remember that part? So here he says, at the end of this, and give no one reason to curse you. Now listen to verse 6. For if in bitterness of soul, sorry, I'm such a bad reader. For if in bitterness of soul some should curse you, their Creator will hear their prayer. Like you drive by and you drive by and then they're like, man, you're fat and fed and I'm starving and God's going to judge you. And maybe they're unrighteous, but God does want us to help the poor. He says it. And so he says this, he's angry, and it says that God will hear his curse. And what does it say? And their Creator will hear their prayer. I mean, it's a serious thing not to give. And that's why Jesus says, sell what you have and give to the poor. Because there are people who have needs, and maybe they have needs because they were lazy. They didn't have a dad. Maybe they didn't have a dad to teach them, or discipline them, or love them, or work with them. And it wasn't their choice to be born where they were. Does that make sense? Like, you got to remember this. Like you are who you are, and it wasn't your choice that you would be born to Steve. It wasn't JJ's choice to be brown. He just is. He was just born there. That's the lot that God has given to his soul. Okay? And a lot of these poor people have made very bad decisions. A lot of them are the result are you all right? Okay. Are struggling because of their sin, but also because of the sins of their parents, maybe their grandparents. Anyways, it's not our place to judge them. We do need to give to those who have needs. Do you have any questions about that? It's a really serious thing. And why is it so serious? So we live in a country where we can make a lot of money. Yeah, go ahead.
Climbing up the steps, I think.
Hey, Autumn, are you there?
Yeah.
Don't let her climb up the stairs, please.
Come down.
So we live in a country where there's a lot of money, right? And we live in a country where people have the freedom to buy and sell what they want, also correct? And we are so selfish to give. I just often think, like, what if we were actually in a poor country and there were actually way more legitimately poor people? And if we lived there, but we did not have the opportunity to make as much money, God still expects us and people there to give. And if it's hard for us to give here, how hard would it be to give there? Does that make sense? I mean, like, so this is a very serious thing for us who live in this country, that we would practice giving. This also means we have to practice working so we can take care of those poor people. Like, this idea that you can just loaf or work a little and just make enough to meet your personal needs and then maybe help some of the brethren. I mean, we're supposed to be able to take care of ourselves. We're supposed to be able to financially take care of our parents if they need it, your children while they're with you, the brothers and sisters in the church who would have needs, which oftentimes are great, and then the poor and the sick and the lowly in the world. So can you do that and just not do much with, like, working with your hands? Like, 15 hours a week, and then I'll just work a day and a half and just, like, hang out at home. I mean, some people do that, but that's not good. And I'm also not saying you need to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week either, because that tells me that you become an idol. And if you're working that much so you can give a lot to those people, but still have a whole bunch for yourself, you're still in sin, right? You're still coveting. Okay. Anyways, any questions before I go on to verse 7? You getting this, Caleb? Endear yourself to the congregation. Bow your head low to the great. Give a hearing to the poor and return their greeting politely. Okay, this is really good. Yeah.
What does dear mean?
Endear yourself. That means lend yourself to people so that they will find you special or dearly beloved. You know, like endear yourself. Give yourself to somebody joyful way that they would like you or love you. Give a hearing to the poor and return their greeting politely. This happens a lot. The poor people, I mean, they're humiliated because of where they are, and a lot of people treat them bad. A lot of times they don't even know. They haven't been taught politeness. They haven't been taught how to speak correctly. They may be really rough. And they may be just so rough that they're just very honestly bold and say stuff that might even make a guy blush. And because of that, a lot of people, when they meet people who are poor and needy, will oftentimes, somebody will be like, "Ha!" You know, and they're just like, "Hi." You know, like, they think, this person's disgusting. He may be a thief. I'm not going to give him the time of day. Like they treat them bad. They don't give them respect. What this is saying is, when you see a poor person and they greet you, love them. Like, they're the creation of God. They're a fellow human being. You know? Like, it doesn't matter, you know, where they're at. We're supposed to be like Jesus, who is the very image of the divine nature. And Jesus took care of the poor and the lowly and the sick and the stinky and the disgusting. And if we can't look at a poor person in the eyes and say, "God bless you. How was your day?" and really care for them. And that's what this is talking about, like really care for people. And it's easy to care for people who are nice and easy and polite and wealthy, or maybe even just middle class. But it's harder to do that to people who are rude and stinky and yucky and uncouth and all these things. Give a hearing to the poor and return their greeting politely. Rescue the oppressed from the oppressor, and do not be hesitant to give a verdict. This sounds like what Jesus talked about, like taking care of the poor. Sell what you have and give to the poor. Rescue them. Verse 10, be a father to orphans and be like a husband to their mother. Now let me make this very clear. This is not saying, what this is saying is, there are often times where there's orphans. That means they don't have a father. And they may have a mother. And you need to take care of that orphan and that mother financially. If that child, the boy or that little girl live with you, you don't go and say, "I need this money, I need that money, I'm you know," or when it's time to go out to eat and you've got all your children and the orphan is playing there with you, your children. You know, don't be like, "Well, I'm not going to buy him lunch because he's not my child." You just treat him just like everyone else, just like all the rest of your children. Be a father to him. Even if you don't have legal custody, be a father to him. And the next part is, and be like a husband to the mother. That means you give instruction to the child. You help discipline the child if necessary, if the mother would like you to. And you help financially to meet the needs that mom and that child have. But you do not develop an intimate relationship. And I'm not even talking about sexually. I'm talking about strictly like she becomes a good friend, a better friend, and you like to spend time with her. If you're married, that is totally unacceptable. Does that make sense? It's just not acceptable. He's telling you to act like a husband would in the way that a husband provides means to sustain a family. Okay. But this is what God says: if you'll do these things, you will then be like the Son of the Most High, and He will love you more than your mother does. Did you hear that? That is amazing. Go ahead.
Does that mean that, like, He'll like you more than your mother likes you?
Yeah, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it that you must do that will make God like you so much?
orphan and the widow.
And the poor. All these poor people. You do this, God will look at you. And not because you're just doing like, I better do this so God will like me. But you're doing it with a genuine heart, like you're loving these poor people. You know, this is right. I need to help take care of this orphan. This is right. That lady needs help. She's not going to be able to buy food for her family this month. I better secretly give some money to them somehow. And because you really want to, because you really are loving, God's like, that's my son. And this says that God will like you so much, like your mom loves you. She likes you even. You may not think that all the time because you're young and you get spanked still. You get disciplined. But when you get bigger, you'll see that, wow, my mama loves me a lot. She's got affection for you. But this says that God will love you more than your mother because you're helping the poor. This is like a major challenge to me, to take care of the poor more than I do. Okay, verse 11. Wisdom teaches her children and gives help to those who seek her. Whoever loves wisdom, or her, whoever loves her loves life, and those who seek her from early morning are filled with joy. So listen, if you'll seek wisdom, you'll be filled, and she'll help you find it. Wisdom will help you, and you will be filled with joy. Whoever holds fast wisdom inherits glory, and the Lord blesses the place she entreats. Those who serve her minister to the Holy One, and the Lord loves those who love her. So what is that saying? The Lord loves who? The person who loves wisdom.
Yeah.
If you love wisdom, how will we know that you love wisdom?
Like honoring your parents and...
No. I mean, ultimately, by seeking wisdom. You love a girl? Oh, you find that girl. Oh, your eyes are sparkling. Oh, she's so great. Oh, man. You love her. And we're talking more than just love, like, not just love like doing the best for her, but love her like you really, really like her. And you want to spend time with her. She's going to be your wife. You're courting her. All you can think about, man, you're mowing yards. Let's say Adam in a few years is in this place. Just sit down there. Adam is in this place, and he started courting a girl, and he loves her. And all he's thinking about, like, he's mowing, but he's messing up, and I'm like, Adam, what's the deal? Why aren't you getting these edges right? And he's like, oh, sorry, I must have. But what he was doing was spacing out. He's thinking about that special girl he likes. Because all he can think about is her because he loves her. And he's thinking, like, I want to ask her this. I want to learn about her in this way. I want to tell her this. I mean, I just want to know everything about her. And that's good because he loves her. He wants to find everything out about her. This is talking like wisdom. So let's try to put that into wisdom. You need to love wisdom like that. If so, you wake up in the morning, first thing you think about is wisdom. Just like the boy who's started to court a girl, first thing he thinks about is her. Gets up before breakfast, he's thinking about her. He goes and does quiet time, he tries to read the Bible, he's like, can't really get what this is saying. Then he goes to pray and he's like, God, help her be safe, and and all these things. Adam doesn't have a special person yet. He's getting closer to that age. But if you have that same kind of affection for wisdom, and here's something else, when a girl, is this dying? Tell me, just talk to me.
My hands are just cramping up.
Oh, okay. So, when you're like this way about a girl, even when you go to sleep, you think about her. You wake up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, she's on your mind. Same with wisdom. I remember when I was in high school, and I knew I was not very smart, and I knew I really needed help. I prayed for God, God, give me wisdom. I wanted wisdom. I asked men about wisdom. So if you can put yourself in a situation like that, You love wisdom. First thing you think about is wisdom. God, give me wisdom. I want to know God. And what is the beginning of wisdom? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And all your day long, you're wanting it. You're seeing men who have been successful or who are godly or whose families are in order. And you're like, what did you do here? How do you do that? Can you tell me this? Or maybe you don't ask questions. Maybe you just watch. Oh, I see what he's doing. Oh, I see how he's disciplining that child. Oh, this is interesting. That guy disciplines his child, all of them, in different ways. I get it, because each of those children are different. It's not just one pattern. And you start learning it because you want it. And that's what you need before even you start looking for a woman. So boys, start loving wisdom right now. Okay? I mean, this is my greatest desire for you guys, because if you find wisdom, you will find God. You hear that? Okay. So let's keep going. Those who serve her minister to the Holy One, and the Lord loves those who love her. Those who obey her will judge the nations, and all who listen to her will live securely. You remember what it says in the scriptures, in the New Testament? It says that those who follow God will judge the nations. If they remain faithful, they will inherit her. Their descendants will also obtain her. For at first, hey Boaz, can you stop that? At first she will walk with them on tortuous paths. She will bring fear and dread upon them, and will torment them by her discipline until she trusts them, and she will test them with her ordinances. Remember this? We talked about this before. If you really want wisdom, what will happen is right away is you'll be broken.
We did this chapter.
Yeah, at breakfast time. So you remember that. You'll be broken. It'll be hard.
We did it too.
No, we didn't.
No, you only did 3, 2, and 1.
Yeah, it's all right. But anyway, right? So just prepare for that, because you'll be tested and it'll be painful. But once you pass that test, verse 18, then she will come straight back to them again and gladden them, and will reveal her secrets to them. If they go astray, she will forsake them and hand them over to their ruin. So if somebody who has gained wisdom decides, like, I know what the truth is, but I'm just going to go ahead and get into sin, she'll forsake them. That means she'll say, okay, fine, I'm out of here. I'm leaving you. And then you will lose the wisdom that you had. Verse 20, watch for the opportune time and beware of evil. And do not be ashamed to be yourself. For there is shame that leads to sin, and there is a shame that is glory and favor. Do not show partiality to your own harm or deference to your downfall. Do not refrain from speaking at the proper moment, and do not hide your wisdom. For wisdom becomes known through speech, and education through the words of the tongue. Never speak against truth, but be ashamed of your ignorance. First off, you've got to recognize that you're ignorant. And once you finally kill that pride, that you can recognize that you don't know anything, then you're able to begin to learn something. But be ashamed of your ignorance. Do not be ashamed to confess your sins. You need to confess your sins. And do not try to stop the current of a river. Do not subject yourself to a fool or show partiality to a ruler. Fight to the death for truth. The Lord will fight for you. Do not be reckless in your speech, or sluggish or remiss in your deeds. Do not be like a lion in your home, or suspicious of your servants, and do not let your hand be stretched out to receive and closed in the time of giving. There's a whole bunch there, but time tarries, and it's time to pray and go to bed. So, but it says, one thing it said, fight to the death for truth, and that's just so much. It's just like this, like in Jude, the end of Jude. I mean, there's so many passages. I'm just so confident that this was one of the favorite books of the brothers of old, Sirach. But he says this, Beloved, while while eagerly preparing to write to you about the salvation we share, I find it necessary to write and appeal to you to contend for the faith that was once delivered or once entrusted to the saints. And then the other place it says, I want you to fight earnestly for the faith that was delivered once for the fight to the death for the truth of the Word of God. Okay. Thanks for watching. God bless you. Bye-bye.